So we have some lights we're going to show some beam shots on tonight. We have a set range from 10 to 120 yards that we're going to be displaying these on. The lights we're going to be showing is this X300 170 lumen model, 500 lumen X300 Ultra, 210 lumen 4.7s Quark 123 squared. What is this one, 780?
Yeah.
This is a QP2LX 780 lumen, the new version of the Quark. This is a Surefire X300 or G2X Tactical. This is a G2X Pro, 200 lumens, and we think this is 240. This is a Quark Turbo QB2LX. This one's 870 lumens for this one with burst. This is an Olight M22 Warrior, 950 lumens. This is the Maelstrom MMX, if that'll focus. It doesn't need to. 900 lumens. And this is the Maelstrom MMU X3 1600 lumens. And like I said, we're going to be pushing them from 10 yards to 120. So first up, we're going to do the X300 170 lumen model. This light's turning off, and we're going to show you 10 yards. Right there at that staircase is 10 yards. We're going to walk out to a sidewalk that you can barely see right there. That's the sidewalk, just that dark line going through the beam. And that's pretty much its limit. That is, what was that, 40 yards? And that's pretty much all that one is capable of. It's 40 yards. The next one we're going to show is the X300 Ultra. Same idea, 10 yards first. You see it lights up quite a bit more. The spill is actually pretty intense. You can see straight down off the balcony, and there's the hot spot still up there. I'm going to move up to the sidewalk at 40 yards. You can see it's much more visible with this light. And then the next item we're going to show is a tree that just doesn't show up on camera. So, but in person at least, 120 yards is very visible with this light. Next one we're going to do is the Quark 123 squared. This is the 210 lumen model at 10 yards. And then we're going to walk that out to 40, and it kind of gets pretty weak right there. In person it's more visible than what you're seeing right now, but really about 60 yards is all that's useful for. Next one is the QP2LX. This one is what, 780? Is that what it was? Yeah, 780 lumens with burst, 10 yards. You can see this is a cooler color, and again the spill is just super intense because, as you can see, the reflector on these are very short. This one that you're looking at is the XML2 version, 10 yards, next 40 yards, and that's where the spill kind of overcomes the hot spot. You can see about 100 yards pretty easily, but that's about it for that one. Next one is the G2X Tactical. This is the 200 lumen model, 10 yards. You can see it's much more focused than these other two. The spill is actually really defined. 10 yards, 40 yards is pretty visible, and then getting out to 100 is kind of pushing it. Next version is the G2X Tactical, or Pro rather. The Tactical is the one you just saw. This is more or less the same light. It's the same LED as far as I know. Same exact reflector, different UI. You can see that the sidewalk's a little bit more visible, and then once you push past that, it kind of fades out. In person, 100 yards is doable, but you're not seeing too much detail at that point.
And the bosses.
Next one is when the throwers and the really hardcore ones actually happen. This is the... it's not focusing at all. This is a Quark Turbo. This is 800 and what? 870 lumens with burst, and it's quite a monster in comparison to what you've seen. You can see the spill is about as bright as the other lights you've been looking at. And the hot spot is really, really focused and really intense. You can see that sidewalk is super, super visible. And then once we push up to 100, my camera still just won't really pick that up. But it's actually, I could tell you what color hair you have at 100 yards. Next one is essentially the same light. Do this one because it's real similar. These are both XML2s with very similar size reflectors, except what you just saw was 870 lumens, and this one is 900. You can see how intense that is. That's brighter than all the other lights hotspot that you've seen, and this is the nastiest thrower that we have out here right now. You can see 40 yards, it lights up that sidewalk just fine, and then 100, it's still, I don't even know if you're going to be able to tell. There's a tree out there at 100 yards that I could just barely see in the screen, but nah, it's just not working out on the screen. But you can take my word for it. This is about a 200-yard light in real life. I can see the spills through the screen, but that's about it. Next one is the Olight M22 Warrior. This is a really good comparison for the one that you just saw, which I don't think I even said what it was. That was the MMX that you were just looking at. This is the M22 Warrior. Same LED. All these lights are on pretty, like, really new batteries. And this one is supposed to be 950 lumens. It's not quite as bright as the 900 lumens coming out of the MMX somehow, but that's 10. 40 you can see super visible. No, we're still not doing the 100 through the camera. It's just not working. But yeah, 120 yards is a tree out there, and it's just not visible on camera. This one is the MMU X3, and you can see it's kind of a dildo light, short and fat. Turn it off so I could show the LEDs. You can see there's 3 XML2s in there, and they're making 1600 lumens. It is not a thrower by any means, but it makes up for it in sheer output. You can see how much bigger that hotspot is, and the spill just, that line right there is actually from the banister. The spill is just enormous. I'm sure the camera's not going to do it justice, but in real life it's just super intense. And then there's so much light pushing out to that sidewalk, you can see how big that hotspot is still. It's pretty much lighting up the whole field in real life. I need a different camera for this. And then pushing out to 120 still, it's super bright. It's just not, yeah, that you can't even tell how bright that is. It's just putting a reflection in the screen.
MMX.
Alright, that's the MMU X3.
Next to MMX.
And this is the MMX next to it, just to define how big the hotspot is. There you go. That's a very good comparison. You can see how really defined this is, and you can't make out anything inside of there because it's so bright. Whereas this one, 900 lumens, 1600 lumens, this whole hotspot is just absorbing all of it. That's a really good comparison. This one over here is the MMX, and this is the MMU X3 at the same kind of range, about 40 yards. And that's pretty much all I got. That's all I brought out here. It's cold. It's, hold on, I got the thermometer right here. It's 26 degrees. It's pretty chilly out, but those are the lights I brought out to show you some beam shots. See ya.